Are you ready to be transformed? You're about to spend a life-changing hour with a woman who's done more than just talk about dramatic self-transformation. She achieved it, then literally wrote the book on it, leaving countless success stories in her wake. Will yours be next? Find out now and every week on The Kat James Show. And now your host, Kat James.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Kat James Show. I hope you're ready to be transformed. I am looking at the Long Island Sound, made my way to the East Coast for the New Life Expo. Very good and smaller than usual, but people's enthusiasm for healing themselves has not changed. In fact, I just think it's at an all-time high. And we have so much stress going on. I'm going to really get into how important adaptogens are in this new normal. And maybe the new normal, hopefully it's not in the sense of all of these lockdown measures, et cetera. Hopefully we get past that by forcing the powers that be to look at real science. But we're waiting for the next shoe to drop. What's the next crisis going to be? Adaptogens are absolutely critical for that. It's something that I recommend to everyone that does my program. My program is going to bring that autonomic nervous system right side up so that you have a new kind of calm energy. And we're seeing that with a program I'm doing right now in Connecticut, about to do one in Minnesota. By the way, I've got a July 27th through August 1st Sedona program. If anyone's interested, contact us at info@informedbeauty.com. But I'm going to devote this not only to adaptogens, but a new beyond liposomal technology. To talk about this, I want to bring on the founder of PD Labs, and that is Ray Solano, a pharmacist extraordinaire. Welcome back to the show, Ray.
Well, thanks for having me on.
I am excited about something I already thought was, and at that time, I'm sure it was, the absolute leading edge, and that would be the nasal delivery system of Synapsin. But we have an update here and a new technology, and what you are starting to see already in how much of a difference this delivery system is making, and what you're seeing in patients. So I would love for you to just take it from there. How did you guys at PD Labs get into using this technology now, this new technology to deliver your already really popular Synapsin formula into Synapsin LPT?
Well, as Jim mentioned, this is truly a tremendous breakthrough, and this new technology that Jim has been able to develop has been able to take these insoluble compounds. We've been working with RG3 Synapsin for many years, and thousands of patients have used it, but it's difficult to get into the body. So this new technology of making these specific liposomes allow tremendous absorption at very low doses, and we're getting fabulous results for patients and elderly seniors and pediatrics. So it's a cross-section of the population of people that are suffering from this brain inflammation syndrome and looking for an improved cognitive ability.
Yeah. And so when you say liposomes, I mean, my audience is like, oh, that sounds good, liposomes, but you're talking about even another level beyond that, because I think that what you're telling me and what Jim has been telling us is that we are going beyond the problems with liposomes. So what are some of the problems that have been solved that are even issues with liposomal delivery up until now?
Liposomes usually are a function of size over time, and this is a dry formed product, so it stays very stable at a very, very small molecular level, and it doesn't degrade over time. Most of the other liquids. Liposomes are liquids, and this makes it totally unique. So this is a special patented process that pharmaceutical companies have been able to look at for their pharmaceutical delivery, and we're applying this to natural substances, as Jim alluded to. Awesome. And this is what makes it so unique, that we get this drug gets absorbed, and you can feel it many times within a few minutes. And this is the reason why we just think it is something extraordinary as a natural substance that is safe and it has many good effects for all different populations.
So we're going to have Jim on in a moment and talk about, the history of ginseng and why this is very different, because there are, what I understand from him, many, many constituents that have not really been optimized, that we're just beginning to use at their potential. And so it's an adaptogen, et cetera. I would love, when you say, sometimes you can begin to feel it in minutes, that's exciting. But tell me the types of things you've seen in your patients and what types of things they might be feeling from using this component that you now have in a dry liposome, which is better than a liquid liposome, from Synapsin LPT.
What we find for patients, that people that have taken it, and first thing is they would say in about 20 minutes they feel more alert. It's very subliminal. It's not like a caffeine high. It's
right.
Not like a drug. It's all of a sudden the fog is lifted, and this is the beauty of it, because it does not have some of the negative effects of stimulants. So they see that right away. And then even in children, we've noticed of people that were looking at the spectrum disorder children and being able to get the right doses for them, is that all of a sudden their eyes look different in about a half an hour.
Wow.
And sometimes we see speech improvement in these children as well. So this is what we're really excited about, is even in the pediatric population. And we're working with a pediatrician here in Texas that sees tremendous possibilities, and they themselves have been able to witness in their offices how more productive they all are. So this is what we're really excited about, and being able to offer it out to all your listeners.
Fantastic. So once again, to kind of go back to the scope of how this can be applied, RG3 is this active component. We'll get more detail from Jim Lavalle, PhD, in just a moment. But the scope is could be applied for menopausal brain fog, COVID-related brain fog, mold, traumatic brain injuries, inflammation in the nasal cavity, Lyme disease, and it's an adaptogen. And we'll really get into that with Dr. Lavalle. And so let's get into the experience of how they get it. I know you and Jim have put together a free shipping, it's an exclusive. If people mention the Cat James Show when they call PD Labs for Synapsin LPT at 888-909-0110, but they're going to talk to someone and tell us tell us the details, prescription or not, and how can, I know it's a simple process, but tell us what they're going to do.
We're going to make it very simple. You give us a call, let us know that you're interested in the Synapsin LPT from Cat James. You're going to be immediately connected to one of our trained pharmacists that is going to ask you a few questions, details about you and what you're looking for, and we'll be able to calculate the dosage and be able to finish the experience with the patients and be able to offer it to them with free shipping as a special offer for Cat James listeners.
Awesome. So this is going to be a 5-minute little survey to make sure they're getting the right dosage. It's technically prescription, but it's a very simple, streamlined process, and you just want to do it right. This is powerful, amazing stuff, but very safe, even used in kids regularly. And so it's Synapsin LPT. The number again to mention the Cat James Show when asking about Synapsin LPT is 888-909-0110. And you're going to find out, if you're not sure if it's for you, you're really going to know after we hear from Dr. Jim Lavalle with details on what types of things this is addressing like nothing else. So stick around, and thank you, Ray Solano. I look forward to having you on the show again in the near future. And stick around, everyone. Dr. Jim Lavalle.
Do your current probiotics offer diversity? The primary goal of your probiotics is to help create and maintain a healthy gut microbiome. We often think more is better, but taking high doses of 50 or 100 billion probiotics can work against you. The most important factor is diversity, not quantity. Look for a formula that has multiple strains of probiotic flora expertly fermented to contain postbiotic metabolites, which have been shown to help digestive and immune health, our gut-brain function, and more. The worldwide leader in fermented postbiotic health? Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics, the #1 probiotics in the world for direct delivery of postbiotics. Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics uses a multi-year fermentation with 12 proven probiotic strains producing over 500 postbiotic metabolites. Certified vegetarian and free of gluten, allergens, and GMOs. So say no to quantity and yes to diversity. Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics are available online and at natural health retailers nationwide.
Hi, this is pharmacist Ray Solano, owner of PD Labs Pharmacy. What makes Metabolic Code's blood testing panels different? The bird's eye view. Most standard tests hone in on single numbers such as cholesterol, insulin, with meaningless so-called normal ranges, missing more lesser-known red flags. Even worse, they're missing the trends. By connecting a constellation of often overlooked tests that paint a broader picture of where your health is really, unless you make specific changes to your health. A patient of ours suffered chronic joint pain for years and was told by his doc that he has to deal with it. Metabolic Code panels tested his standard labs, but also specific immune markers, and we uncovered an inflammation resulting from an infection and an accumulation of heavy metals. The result? He took our suggested actions and his energy levels and pain are much improved. Visit PDLabsRx.com and mention CAT for 25% off your first Metabolic Code package. 888-909-0110 and get the real story your blood has to share.
What's your age? That's AGE, aged garlic extract, that is. For over 50 years, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract has been offering men and women of all ages and with different health concerns an odorless, organically grown, clinically researched garlic extract supplement tailored to their individual needs. Aged garlic extract formulas support optimal cardiovascular health, immune function, and many more specific health concerns like stress, blood sugar balance, high blood pressure, detox, anti-aging, inflammation, and brain health. Kyolic AGE's condition-specific products contain Kyolic's exclusive GMO-free garlic extract, which is aged up to 20 months, converting garlic's harsh properties into beneficial compounds. So what's your AGE? Visit your local natural health and wellness retailer and discuss which Kyolic AGE formula is best for you and your lifestyle. Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract formulas are available at fine natural health retailers nationwide, also online.
Welcome back to the Kat James Show. As promised, we have a favorite guest on my show, Dr. Jim Lavalle. His areas of expertise really span a lot of areas, and I always learn something new. Today, he's going to talk about an ingredient that really is not available to almost everyone. In fact, it's a natural ingredient, but the product is prescription only, and it's a form of something that we've known about for a long time. Welcome back to the show, Jim.
Good to be back, Kat. How you doing?
Good. And so I would love to, you do some work with PD Labs, and you guys tend to bring in the forms of some ingredients that some may have already been familiar with, but also things from Germany and things that are nasally or available to the body in different delivery systems. And what we're going to talk about today is no exception. I know it's related to ginseng, and I think a lot of people understand that ginseng is amazing for fighting stress, et cetera. But I think most people don't really know the half of it. Could we start there?
Oh, absolutely. So, when you hear the term ginseng, everybody thinks, oh, okay, ginseng. It's that root. Well, there's a lot of different compounds in ginseng. So ginseng is made up of what's called ginsenosides. And each one of those ginsenosides, and there's 8 of them that are the big ones, all have different functions. And that's why ginseng is known as an adaptogen, because it does so many different things good for your body, right? So when you hear an adaptogen, you think it has multiple benefits for you. And then, but the real interesting thing is that there are fractions of ginseng, or if you can isolate one of the components of the ginseng, then you can get a stronger effect on that particular ginseng's effect on the body. So the one that we have been working with the last 15 years with PD Labs and Ray Solano is the ginsenoside RG3. And it's pretty interesting because when I first started looking at this, I was looking for things that would help neuroinflammation. So neuroinflammation that can occur from infection, it can occur from a bad gut, it can occur from toxicity. But when you get neuroinflammation, it starts to affect basically the level of oxidative stress that's going on in your brain, and that can have a big impact on how you think and feel, right?
Yeah. And a big deal right now, right? I mean, a lot of people with long COVID and talk about neuroinflammation. It seems quite applicable to even what people have suffered from long term. Is that right?
Yeah, and what we found, I mean, we've got 50,000 people post surveillance on this. But one of the interesting things we've found is that this compound's very unique, that it does help people kind of get that pushing a thought through jello effect kind of cleaned up. But the other piece is when we've given it to, just in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I had somebody that was a trap shooter. They shoot skeet and trap for sport. He used it, and and actually the novel and innovative aspect of this is it used to be we could only deliver it via a nasal spray. And so that would mean it was a prescriptive item, and it gets compounded at PD Labs and other compounding pharmacies, which is all great, and really used in more acute situations. People have a TBI or concussion, and docs would prescribe that, and then compounders would make it. But now what we've developed, and this is literally the real breakthrough, is that we have created a way to take really small particles called nanoparticles of this RG3 and then put it in a liposome, but then put it in a chewable tablet. And why that's important is everybody hears, I've seen liposomes. Liposomes, they're everywhere. It turns out most liquid liposomes are actually unstable. They kind of clump together after they've been made over a period of time, and a lot of people don't know that. And so, it is interesting, right? Because you think of how many people are, buying liposomal glutathione. Exactly. And the thing is it's probably really good if you get it fresh, but the longer that it sits on the shelf, the more the risk of the agglomeration or basically the binding together. So you can go from a real little 100 nanometer particle to a 3,000 nanometer particle. And what that means is you're not going to absorb it as well. What happened is through using this liposomal tablet, one is we can take compounds that aren't normally easily to absorb, and now we can make them absorb way better. So this is great for things like turmeric. It's great for things like EGCG. So, you can take green tea extract. Talk about something great antiviral, right? EGCG.
Yeah.
Great papers on that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So the big thing is that now you can chew one of these things up, and now it absorbs, and you can do it orally, and it becomes a very bioavailable. And so we're real excited about this application because, it opens up this whole new area of how do we take compounds that were typically pretty erratic and hard to absorb and now get them to absorb better. And there's, literally this came out of actually pharmaceutical research where they were trying to kind of reduce the lethality of opioids, right? Because you got the opioid epidemic and people overdosing. Well, now they started doing this kind of research to say, how can we deliver a really small dose of an opioid to get people out of pain, when they're in intractable pain, and limit their risk, right? But now we're taking that technology and going, hey, what can we do with a natural compound? Now, the interesting thing, so a big paper that came out in Frontiers in Pharmacology, and this was, 2020 paper on RG3 here. It turns out that it has a big effect on oxidative stress and metabolic syndrome. that it actually helps insulin receptors that get to turn on, that helps because it's doing that and reducing insulin resistance. It's helping with, for obesity, right? And so when you look at it, it's down-regulating inflammatory compounds. It's helping to regulate your liver detoxification, and it down-regulates TNF alpha and interleukin 6 and IL-1 beta, all those cytokines that create big problems. And I know your listeners, they've listened to me before. I've talked a lot about inflammation chemistry. And at the net of it, and Kat, you know this as good as anybody in the country, what you're really trying to do with people in the end is you're trying to upregulate, getting them back to GLUT4 expression of their insulin receptor, where they're making 38 packets of ATP, because what most people do is they get hypometabolic, right? They get insulin resistant, they make 2 packets of energy, they make a bunch of waste products, and now all of a sudden they're actually hypometabolic, and that's one of the big, cellular crises that we have. And here we're finding out that RG3 actually works to help restore that signaling back to the cells so that it becomes efficient again. And if I had to give you one more, which is pretty interesting, is it helps to regulate the renin-angiotensin system. So why is that a big deal? Well, that's what causes high blood pressure, is that as you get more insulin resistant, you make more what's called angiotensin 2, and that makes your blood vessels get more stiff and small, and now my heart's got to push harder. So real quickly, that's just where the interesting things start with ginsenoside R3 and the delivery mechanism that goes behind it, and that's what's incredibly exciting, because this is brand new.
Yeah. So I want to try and see if I have this straight. You had a nasal delivery. We knew about a product called Synapsin. We talked about it. And of course, we talked about neuroinflammation and the fact that, whether it's mold or menopause or Lyme or anything that might cause brain fog, in addition to all these other things you're talking about, that Synapsin, which had the RG3 in it, would be wonderful. It has all of these papers to fight these things. But now you have, we thought that was the total, the cutting edge, the nasal delivery, but now you're saying it wasn't as stable as what you have now. And it's almost counterintuitive to hear that something chewable would be more stable, something that you just digest, but it's because of the more stable lipid delivery system, or the liposomal system, that's actually more stable in a chewable. Am I understanding that correctly?
Well, yeah. So the nasal spray was not strictly a liposome. So the nasal spray was stable. The problem is that nobody eats through their nose. So
that's fair. That's fair.
It's right. I mean, it's as much as everybody some people like to cut the corners on, hey, what can you put out as a dietary supplement? Nasal sprays really aren't dietary supplements. They're not. I mean, and so we had to keep that as a prescriptive agent that's compounded by a pharmacist for human use. Okay. Now, when we're talking about the tablet, the real innovation was the fact, and everything you said was exactly right. The real innovation was to create a tablet in a liposome where you can embed the very small particles, and then it's stable. That it actually has a shelf life that can be guaranteed for a couple of years, whereas liquid liposomes, which are all over the market now, right? Everybody goes, liposomal this, liposomal that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's real – anybody I talk to in the scientific community goes, there's one problem with liquid liposomes. They're unstable, and that depending on the time, they erode, and now all of a sudden you're not getting the value, and you probably paid a premium for that.
Yep.
So that's why I think it's really interesting. Yeah,
exactly. Wow. When we come back, I want to unpack, as they say, all of the little areas that this can address. And I'm not sure if you're telling me that this isn't prescription or not, but either way, people are going to want to know how to get it. And you and Ray Solano have worked together to give us a special deal. But I don't think we can wrap our brain around all of the different types of things it's needed for yet. So stick around, everyone. We'll be right back.
Staying healthy has never been more important. And Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, maker of premier heart and immune health products, is leading the way to better health with the groundbreaking new formula, Kyolic Omega AGE. Kyolic Omega AGE combines the cardiovascular power of Kyolic's best-selling, organically grown aged garlic extract with sustainably sourced fish oil and a synergistic blend of the nutrients, vitamins D3, K2, E, and B6, 9, and 12, that have been clinically shown to support heart, bone, and immune health, all in one supplement, providing you with a comprehensive and convenient way to take your health to the next level. So check off all of those individual supplements from your shopping list and get Kyolic Omega AGE for heart, bone, and immune health today. Look for Kyolic Omega AGE at fine natural health retailers near you. Learn more at kyolic.com. That's KYOLIC.com. Stay healthy, live better.
It's not always easy for women to achieve better health, especially these days. The key is to work smarter, not harder. Be wise about weight loss and workouts, eat strategically, and take your supplements. I'm best-selling nutrition author Kat James. I've learned firsthand that probiotics are key to women's health. They protect your digestion, your immune system, your skin. They support balanced hormonal levels. And very important for both women and men, they counter the buildup of bad bacteria and yeast in our bodies. Researchers have even found that probiotics promote a more positive mood and mental sharpness due to the gut-brain axis. The one I take, Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. It's a superior formula with prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, a smart advantage in these challenging times. Find Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics through Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods, Sprouts, and other natural health retailers, also available online.
Mom, can I have some spray?
Sure, honey.
Thanks, Mom.
You know what that is? That's the sound of my child thanking me for giving her something that's actually good for her teeth. Spry Gum is part of the Spry Dental Defense System, a complete line of oral care products made with 100% xylitol, the all-natural sweetener with proven dental benefits. So when we're at home, my whole family uses Spry toothpaste and mouthwash to help strengthen our teeth and reduce the risk of tooth decay. And when we're on the go, I just throw some Spry Gum and mints right into my bag. My kids love it, and I love that it's all natural. No sugar, no aspartame, or any other chemicals. Just think of that. I reward my kids for taking care of their teeth at home by giving them gum and mints on the go that are good for their teeth. Visit sprydental.com or ask for Spry by name at your local health food store. You can also ask your dentist about Spry and make sure your mouth is receiving all the benefits of 100% xylitol products.
At Vitamin Shop, Sprouts, Kroger, and most natural product retailers. Find a retailer near you at clear.com.
Introducing the featured re-release of Kat James' grassroots best-selling book, The Truth About Beauty. Transform your looks and your life from the inside out. Based on breaking science and Kat James' own incredible transformation, The Truth About Beauty represents the most comprehensively researched and inspiring beauty guide to date. Winner of the 2009 Silver Nautilus Book Award, it's been called a masterpiece by New York Magazine's two-time Nutritionist of the Year, Oz Garcia, and a path to personal triumph by Glamour Magazine. This classic now features 40% new material, including her long-awaited Jumpstart recipe collection from her acclaimed Total Transformation programs, plus her living formula for biochemical freedom from food obsession, state-of-the-art natural skin, supplement, and anti-aging strategies, and a resource guide called Worth Its Weight in Gold by Marie Claire Magazine. If you're ready to get off the merry-go-round and get serious, get the truth about beauty and transform yourself today. Visit informedbeauty.com.
Welcome back to the Kat James Show. I am here again with Jim Lavalle, PhD, and his book coming out again, I think updated, Cracking the Metabolic Code. You can correct me on that one, Jim, but congratulations on that. And we're in the middle of a very interesting discussion on the isolated, amazing component of a well-known adaptogen that really takes it to new levels in a new delivery system. Would love for you to pick up where we left off, Jim, and of course, correct me on that book title and any information we need to know over there.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I mean, when I wrote Cracking the Metabolic Code, everybody was like, it was kind of the first book out there talking about systems biology and that the adrenal bone's connected to the pancreas bone's connected to the thyroid bone's connected to the gut bone kind of thing. But now it's literally going to be the 20-year anniversary of that book, and people still read it and go, you know what, this is still pretty current, and they're right.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to stretch people further with this. I'm going to give them what the next 20 years is to look forward to.
Wow.
And probably by then I'll be very gray and very old, but I feel very excited about what this book is going to do for tying things together for longevity and anti-aging, because in the end, what we're really trying to do, I mean, look, most of us, if we live a healthy life, which, you and I know that's kind of a wide shot, but if we try to really do the best things for us, most of us can make it to our 60s, but then the wheels start coming off the cart and we start to create senescent cells, we start to create more inflammatory signaling, and a lot of that starts from the captain of the ship, and that's the brain. So from the brain down, we start to lose that, effective signaling. We get less coherent. Our brain doesn't tell our body what to do as well. And so why I think ginsenosides and adaptogens in general are so important is that they all help your brain to maintain resiliency, metabolic reserve, and durability to your chemistry. And those are terms that are in the medical literature. And so RG3 in particular is really interesting because it blocks the NMDA glutamate bridge. So when you hear the term excitotoxins, which Russell Blaylock made that really famous about 25, 30 years ago with his book, Excitotoxins, great book.
Yep.
You're trying to stop the hyperexcitability of the neurons in your brain so that you don't trigger oxidative stress. So, I know your listeners are very bright, but I always like to just explain it. Look, oxidative stress is the equivalent to the rate of rusting in your body. The higher the rate of rusting, the higher, of course, your oxidative burden. What's one easy way you can check that? Well, one of the simplest ways you can check that is do a pH of your urine, right? I mean, if you have an acidotic pH of your urine, you're making a lot of hydrogen ions. You're increasing that rate of rusting. And so that's why the value of plant food and grass-fed foods and getting in plenty of minerals into your diet to keep that correct. But the other piece that's important is that as we're aging and as that oxidative stress starts to affect our brain, what happens is we're not rebutting neurons the way we should. And I know I'm kind of simplifying this, but the reality is you start to not bud neurons at the rate you should. And the reason is that stress hormones and that NMDA that gets made, that gets, when that bind, so cortisol and NMDA bind to basically the stem cells that make up your neurons and blocks them from budding and progressing. So you can't make those nice newly pruned dendritic fibers. Instead, you get what's called dendritic retraction, your hippocampus shrinks. Now all of a sudden you're going, man, how come I am? Because I ask people all the time, because when you say, hey, do you feel like you're cognitively, dissident now? People go, what's that mean? If I ask them, do you feel like you're pushing a thought through Jell-O? They go, oh, that's totally me. I feel like I'm just after 2 o'clock, I'm ineffective. So when you asked, where is all this effective at? So here's where we've applied this. We've applied this in sports performance because it seems to help people improve their reaction time, their coordination, and their brain coherence. That's one. We did that with Corvette race team. I mean, they went and they won Le Mans by using the, working with RG3. And they said, hey, this was a big deal. It worked. We've used this for people to help them get over concussions. So I've had folks that have had concussions. They need to get back to the playoffs, and off here they go. They can utilize this, and it's a big benefit. Just for that general, hey, I'm not thinking as clearly. It's funny. I gave this to a guy that big executive. This is just 3 weeks ago. I got this email from him. I said, hey, how's the RG3 tablet? How's the Synapsin LPT going? And he he said back, I don't want to live without this. I can't believe how much better my processing speed and my focus is. I've got much better energy through the last half of my day. And so that's important. And then, of course, anytime you have any type of traumatic brain injury, you're trying to help repair neurons and reduce oxidative burden in the brain and reduce inflammasome activity. And so, you really have a wide variety of benefit now. All the information published over the last year on metabolic syndrome, improving insulin receptors, improving the way lipids are processed in the liver. There are some interesting studies on weight management, and there's some interesting studies on immune function as it pertains to this. And remember, this is just where it's more of this RG3. You still have some of the other ginsenosides that are in there, but by far this is playing a dominant chord in your chemistry.
And so when you talk about the brain fog people are experiencing, if they had COVID, it was mentioned, menopausal brain fog, even mold or Lyme, then these inflamed nerve cells, sometimes even in the nasal cavity. I'm wondering if any of those are worth a little discussion. And also just adaptogens in general. When I think of adaptogens, I always go back to that rodent study where they put rodents through a difficult maze where their food was hidden, and the group that got, the half that got the adaptogens came out of it without the physiological signs of stress.
Right.
Does any of this make you want to go in any direction?
Oh, sure, all of it. You just hit a bunch of buttons here. So, first of all, the most valuable herb in every culture since the beginning of time has been adaptogens. So I don't care whether you look at Tibetan culture, Chinese culture, Native American culture, Aboriginal culture, Siberian, Russian, it does not matter. The most valuable herb in every culture has been their adaptogens because it helped people cope with stress. That's since the beginning of recorded medicine. All right. Pretty simple. So it's not like stress is a new thing. We've recognized it since the beginning of time. The difference is now we wait till people have a nervous breakdown or they get super anxious, and then our new adaptogens are Xanax and Prozac instead of it being using herbs preventatively. So that's one. Secondly, you mentioned, what's going on in the nose. So if you're a chronic inflammatory response syndrome individual, the biggest thing happens is that you're genetically predisposed to trigger inflammatory compounds in your body. And those inflammatory compounds start to wreak havoc on the neurologic system in your body, right? So people with SIRS complex, they end up with, anxiety and sleep problems and electrical shock, and their brain isn't thinking well. And without a doubt, doctors, at A4M, we've taught docs that part of their program for helping people recover from SIRS is using RG3 or Synapsin as a way to kind of regain nervous system tolerance, like getting the balance back, that heart rate variability, vagal tone, sympathetic, parasympathetic balance can be very helpful with this. And so that's one aspect of it. And then you mentioned what's going on in the sinus cavities. Well, it turns out that people with SIRS a lot of times have secondary infections called MARCoNS, and you have to, do a nasal swab, and you have to look and say, well, are we MARCoNS positive or negative? And without a doubt, when people are MARCoNS positive and you've got all this bacterial, growth and biofilms that are in the sinus cavities, well, the sinus cavity is not too far away from the brain cavity. And so you want to clean that up. And then the third piece to that, of course, is that, and people have done this quite a bit, where docs that are in this space doing this kind of work, they use another peptide called vasoactive intestinal peptide spray, which actually resets the melanocortin system of your immune system in the brain, which is kind of a supportive component. They kind of can work hand in hand, where you think of the synapsin is throwing a wet blanket on a fire, and at the same time it's helping to correct that hypometabolism, right? Because what happens with people in these situations is their brain doesn't utilize glucose anymore. At all, and that's a feature that you don't want. You want your brain to utilize ketones, and you want your brain to utilize glucose. It should be doing both. So yes, the answer to the 15 areas that you hit me with there is it's all fascinating. And I think that, knowing how can I think clearer, protect my brain as I'm aging, I think that's where Synapsin plays a great role.
And certainly we know the brain is connected with vision, and it's connected with the all sorts of axes, a gut-brain axis, and we've even got a gut-brain-skin axis. And I bet you there's a lot more exciting news on this RG3. But when we come back, I want to talk about the how. Is it by prescription? Sounds like it's not. Sounds like this one may not be. And how much and for who, and any other applications we can think of. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
New look, same trusted formulas. As part of Wakanaga of America's 50th anniversary, their flagship product, Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract, has a new look. The new packaging clearly communicates each formula's unique characteristics and benefits at a glance. The added QR code allows consumers to scan for more info. Aged Garlic Extract has been shown to support optimal cardiovascular health, including blood pressure and cholesterol, immune function, and more. It is organically grown. And AGE is the most researched garlic supplement on the market, with over 900 scientific papers from prestigious universities and research institutes around the world. There is also a new, vegan-friendly version of Kyolic's original cardiovascular formula. Visit Kyolic.com for more information about Kyolic's quality supplements to support your healthy lifestyle. That's KYOLIC.com. Kyolic Aged Garlic Extract supplements are available at natural health retailers nationwide and online.
Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. We put the power in probiotics. We were the first to emphasize the importance of postbiotic metabolites in creating and maintaining the biodiversity of flora in the gut microbiome for optimal digestion, gut-brain, immune, and hormonal health. Multi-year fermentation is key in producing the postbiotic metabolites that are found in exceptional probiotics like Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. Healthy fruits and vegetables are fermented, resulting in over 500 postbiotic metabolites for optimum digestive and immune support. So don't rely on a simple claim that the product has 50 billion or more CFUs. That is not the hallmark of how to gauge a powerful probiotic. Instead, look for diversity. Look for fermentation. Look for postbiotics. Look for Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics. Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics are certified vegetarian and free of gluten, allergens, and GMOs. Get Dr. Ohhira's Probiotics today at fine health retailers everywhere and online.
We wouldn't go a day without washing our hands, brushing our teeth, and washing our nose. Whoa, wait, we wash our nose? Yes, the number one place where bacteria, viruses, and pollen enter your body is through the nose. So the average person breathes over 23,000 times a day. That's 23,000 opportunities for bacteria, viruses, and irritants to get into your nose and make you sick. For an extra layer of protection, wash your nose with Xlear. That is Xlear, Xlear. Xlear's drug-free nasal spray features xylitol, an ingredient proven to block adhesion of many nasty bacteria and viruses, and effectively clean. Not just rinse like a saline, but wash your nose. Xlear nasal spray quickly alleviates congestion, opens your airway, and ensures your body's natural defenses are strong. Read the research studies for yourself at Xlear.com. That's Xlear.com. Protect yourself from the pathogens and junk you breathe. Pick up a bottle for you and your family today.
Welcome back to the Kat James Show. Really cutting-edge stuff we're talking about with Dr. Jim Lavalle. And don't forget, cracking the Metabolic Code with its 20th year update is coming at you. So look for that. And I want to just go back to, and I'm not saying the name enough because Synapsin is what you need to know, folks, but this one is Synapsin LPT. This is the new delivery system, even better than the liquid nasal delivery system because it's more stable, it's going to last longer, and much more effective than any chewable that you can imagine because there are little liposomes in there, and this patented technology. When I think of adaptogens, again, I think of the protecting the adrenals as well. And adaptogens is, to me, it's like as important as vitamin D and fish oil. It's in this world of stress and what we're going through and the lockdowns and what we're going through now. Cognitive changes just because of what we're going through, and even in children, which makes me want to bring up safety issue, et cetera, is just so huge. I'm just going to let you take it from there.
Yeah, so the first thing is without a doubt, adaptogens protect the adrenals, but it's interesting. They protect the adrenals by signaling from the brain. So they regulate and normalize the signaling of the stress response to the adrenal glands in order to normalize your body's stress response. One of the biggest things that happens is that we get in sustained fight or flight. Well, what does that mean? Yeah. That means we're going to reduce blood flow. As soon as you start to increase adrenaline chronically, meaning I think I'm in fight or flight all day because I got 48 emails and 13 text messages, and 50% of them I didn't like what they said. So now I'm all jacked up. I'm not real happy. I'm angry. And that happened to me yesterday. Somebody sent me a crazy text at 7 a.m. I'm in the gym trying to relax and kind of do my workout. And I'm like, oh, my God, and because you can't hear exactly what people are thinking on those darn things. So the bottom line is that when you are protecting the brain, you are protecting how your adrenals function. You're protecting the signaling of cortisol as it relates to glucose and insulin, as it relates to the permeability of your gut. A lot of people don't realize when your cortisol goes up, by default, your gut gets more permeable. You're going to trigger more antigen-presenting cells. You're going to trigger more inflammatory chemistry. You're going to create more food reactivity and sensitivity. But more importantly, you create that inability to absorb nutrients the way you should, and you shift your immunologic drive in your gut to more inflammatory signaling. And so that's why that's so important. And look, I'm with you. I think, we and look, I'm not saying anything here that is, breakthrough. But after the past 2 years, we know we have a crisis in mental health for our kids. I mean, everybody's talking about the socialization issues that occurred. And I just think that as we begin to look at what our strategies, for us to repair, how people think and feel after 2 years of really being under pretty intense anxiety, I think we have to become more active about how we repair our nervous system, how we actually think about, let's don't wait till we're broke. Let's don't see how tough we are. How much stress can I endure without anything? And then all of a sudden it breaks, right? I mean, and this is what happens with people. And, all of a sudden one morning they wake up and they don't want to get out of bed. Like, hey, I was pretty good the night before, and now I'm depressed. Hit the wall. And that is the biggest issue that I see. And I think when you begin to look at the synchronicity of everything going on in the brain, meaning that I've got dopamine receptors that are, helping me to have focus and keep my reward under control so I don't have hedonic urges, right? I'm not looking for smoking, drinking, eating, shopping, gambling, gaming, right? All that, all that stuff, at one time. And so I'm, that is really driven by the fact that as we get under stress, 40% of our population has got at least one of the dopamine allele genes that will contribute to that. And I think it's what also contributes to why so many people have such problems with, managing their stress, because nobody stops and gets broccoli or gets some, grass-fed jerky on the way home. They got a liquor store and they got a bakery. I mean, that's right. And so the more we can calm down brain chemistry, and the more we can get people to be able to stay on point, be focused, feel alert, the better they feel. And I found this out when I interviewed. I mean, I'll tell you what, Kat. I mean, when I interviewed nurse practitioners that were doing weight loss programs, and they used to use, the Phentermine, and then I always would say to them, well, why do people come back to you if they fail, meaning they lost weight while you were there, but they gain their weight back, and they come back? Right. Why did they come back? Right? Yeah. Because you failed. Right? Exactly. And it was real. And you're going to be amazed at this, I think. You probably know this already. But the main reason they came back was they wanted the Phentermine, and not because they were addicts. They wanted to feel alert. They wanted to feel like they could focus again. Right. And I think we underestimate the value of clear perception, focus, good cognition, and just that ability to be able to process and think and talk to other people clearly. And I think it's way underestimated in terms of why people end up, kind of in trouble even with their food. But more importantly, their self-esteem goes down. I'm not getting my short-term memories off. And you know what? Yes, when you hit menopause, you hit andropause, women, as their hormones change, men, as their hormones change, that can have a big impact on how they're thinking. So in addition to those things, because we know that when you replace things like bioidentical hormones, you change the pro-inflammatory glycans that are in your body. They revert back to anti-inflammatory glycans in your body. And once again, why is that important? Because pro-inflammatory glycans lead to oxidative burden and immunologic damage to all our tissues.
And there's also the autonomic nervous system, right? Because people can't sleep. First of all, they can't sleep because of the stress, but they don't know the difference between night and day when they're not getting out like they used to. They lose that night and day kind of thing. But you mentioned, how we make better decisions when we're in that mode. And it's amazing how that autonomic nervous system allows us to make better decisions when we're in parasympathetic. And that's key with adaptogens, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the more we can keep our understanding of sympathetic and parasympathetic tone, so people should measure their heart rate variability. People should know what their resting heart rate is. If your resting heart rate's in the 70s, it's too high, you're sympathetic dominant. It's that simple. And so that means start walking. You don't have to kill yourself. Just get out there and do a nice, vigorous walk. That'll get you started on the path. But yes, anything that you can do from that perspective of balancing sympathetic and parasympathetic tone is going to allow you to just kind of address, every day with a more balanced outlook versus, oh my God, what's the next white tiger that's hitting me? Right?
Yeah.
So, really important.
So what we did in our first segment was talk to Ray Solano at PD Labs. You work with him. You worked out this incredible ability to just get free shipping and also get a product that is not widely available yet. And there's a little intake form to make sure you're a good candidate for the product. And I would love for you to maybe finish out with safety and any examples that you've seen with people, because, again, people are going to be able to go to PD Labs, and you'll be able to call them at 888-909-0110. Everyone, be sure you mention the Cat James Show for that free shipping on Synapsin LPT. Synapsin LPT. Again, that number, 888-909-0110. You can also go to pdlabs.com, but you're going to want to call them. So I want to give you the rest of this segment here. We've got about a minute to add anything safety-wise or any stories of what you have observed.
I mean, we haven't seen anything where anybody has had any negative issues on the liposomal tablet at all. I mean, I would say that there are some people that only need to chew it every 2 days. There's some people that only need to use a half a tablet every day. There's a relatively long half-life to it, so it's pretty interesting. But the best thing about it is it doesn't, even though it makes you more cognitively aware and you feel more calm, it's because it's balancing that nervous system out. And so therefore, you're being able to, you're able to focus and yet be calm. So it's not a stimulant. It's not like taking caffeine to amp you up or doing amphetamine or the Adderall generation, right? I mean, all that stuff, that's not how this works. You feel more calm, you feel more alert, you're able to focus and able to respond better. So we've been very happy with the way people have responded to this thus far.
Awesome. To me, it changes how even a loud noise or bad news affects the feeling in my body to use these types of adaptogens. I can't wait to try Synapsin LPT. Thank you so much, Jim. Always a pleasure having you. Look forward to the next time. And everybody, join us next week for another transforming show.
You've been listening to The Cat James Show. Want Kat to help with your transformation challenge? Submit your question at thecatjamesshow.com. She'll try to cover it in an upcoming show or newsletter. To learn about Cat James' total transformation programs or her award-winning book, visit thecatjamesshow.com. Catch The Cat James Show on Sirius at XM 131 Family Talk each Saturday at noon Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern.